Justice League Dark number 5, written by Peter Milligan, art by Mikkel Janin. We left off last issue with Deadman and June having a portal open up. They both try to go through it. Only Deadman made it through, and June was left to fight against the forces of Enchantress. This issue picks up with a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the world. I'm not going to recount it all, but it does mention Resurrection Man, Frankenstein and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Animal Man, aka all the other things with the Dark label on it. So good to see that brand recognition going on. So anyway, we pick up with June. She's running down from Enchantress, and she comes across Constantine, who I guess is just there. He drew a circle where, nothing can get in, nothing can hurt them. She dives inside, and they start to talk because John has a bunch of questions for her. We go back to Deadman, who was called by S.H.I.E.L.D., but also on the beckon, on the call of Xanadu. And basically she's like, oh, I brought you here because you're needed for some big magical thing. And Deadman essentially is just like, no, June's in trouble, and you made me just leave her there because apparently the metador created was configured for their own specific psychic coordinates, blah, blah, blah. So Deadman just leaves. He got here and now he's gone again to go help June. So it's Zatanna, S.H.I.E.L.D., and Xanadu, and they're like, all right, I guess it's just us. We got to deal with Enchantress. So S.H.I.E.L.D. tells Zatanna to remember the place when she fought Enchantress before, and so he makes a door based off of those feelings, and they arrive back at that weird little cabin with a storm of rotten teeth that could be poisonous, and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s trying to fight it off. But within the storm, he sees Kathy, that woman that he loves and keeps recreating every once in a while. And both Zatanna and Xanadu are like, dude, clearly that's not real. Clearly that is all Enchantress's thing. Ignore that and help us fight off this storm of rotten teeth. And he's just like, what is real? What is unreal? What does that really matter to us? And Zatanna's like, all right, I'll cast a spell on him. And she casts a spell of, backward spell of shade, ignore her. Doesn't work. And so she's like, all right, well, I'm going to show you what real really is. And she gives him a big smooch on the lips. And she's like, that was real. The taste of my lips on yours, focus on that, because that's what's real. And S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, Kathy's gone. He's like, she was never here. Fine, whatever, jeez. But of course, in that moment, Zatanna and Xanadu both have their own little vision quest things going on. Zatanna sees her father, and Xanadu seems something. It's just her talking. Then we cut back to Constantine and June, and he's recapping to her how he ended up here, and she's recapping to him. And she says how there's just this rhyme going on in her head constantly of there was a crooked style, he walked a crooked cat, and immediately Constantine covers her mouth, and he's like, hold on, you're saying there's a rhyme in your head? Okay, I think I get it. That was the spell that Madame Xanadu used in order to rip the Enchantress from you. I used to know it. I hope I remember all the words. So he starts saying it, and it causes just this intense pain in June. And he points out, this is going to hurt you, a lot. It's the reason you can't finish it. It's in your head, but you can't finish it because it hurts you. So this is the only thing that I can do to save the world. I don't care about the world, but I'm in the world, so I kind of need to save the world. So he keeps on continuing with the rhyme. And as he's, on the ground writhing in pain, Deadman shows up. And it's like, all right, that's enough. And Constantine's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. So as everyone's freaking out, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Zatanna and Xanadu, Mind Warp shows up from 3 issues ago. And was like, hey, so with all this magic stuff going on, I don't even know why I'm here, but I'm going to go over to that cabin where the magic seems like it's most centralized and try to help. Okay, bye. Then we get back to the Deadman Constantine thing, and Deadman's like, June, is he hurting you? And she's like, yes, incredibly. So Deadman goes to possess Constantine. He's in there for maybe a quarter second, and then he pops out going oh my god, it's so filthy in there. What have you done? And he's like, I would have warned you not to go in, but you didn't give me any warning. Anyway, I'm going to have to do this. Sorry. And he continues on with the rhyme. And before Deadman can interfere, he finishes it, and she has all this magic crackle about her, and seemingly disappears. We go back to Mind Warp, who just popped in front of Enchantress's body, and she's like, oh, this is private property. But then back to the dead man thing. June's gone. All the magic surrounding them is gone, and everything seems to be okay. We see that seemingly Enchantress and June have fused back together, and Enchantress now is not entirely sure what's going on, but it happened. So Enchantress asks Xanadu, like, hey, what happened to me? And Xanadu's like, oh, no, you rest. We'll deal with that in a minute. But then, the whole team comes together, talks to Xanadu, and is like, all right, so how about you tell us what in the hell just happened? And Xanadu's like, okay, so I was messing around with the tarot cards, and basically they told me that I had to do that in order to get you guys together to form a team, because something really, really bad is going to happen, and you need to be a team for it. And Constantine and pretty much everyone else is like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You just wanted to mess around with Enchantress's power, and now you're coming up with an excuse now that it got away from you. We're out. Bye. And everyone leaves. Xanadu looks down at her scattered deck, and something calls to her to flip over one of the cards. And that's where the issue ends. There's nothing else fair. So this issue probably made the most sense out of any issue we've done so far of this, and I like it for that. But at the same point, the fact that this was just like, all right, and now we're done. Yep, all it took was Constantine just hearing that there was the rhyme. That's what was necessary. Like, it did, everything else was just side dressing of they are needed to be a team for the next thing that happens. But this particular thing, all we needed was Constantine and June to be in the same place. All right, sure. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It feels like kind of a letdown after all of it. It was doing so much crazy stuff, and then in the end it was just like, oh, we just needed those two. And really just the one. Constantine was pretty much it. So, yeah. Art is fantastic. I can't fault any part of that at all. It's good throughout. It's just the writing. It just feels like all of that for, okay. This one wasn't even important. It's the next one that's important. A lot of people died, but this one wasn't important. So no, overall, I'm going to give this one a 6.5, and a lot of that is the art and like the stylist choices of it. Writing wise, I feel like it's actually a little bit like characters. They sound fine, but just the overall plot's just like, all right, I guess. So we'll see what happens next. Obviously, they have to keep being a team for the book to exist, but what will bring them together for real? I don't know. Tune in next month.